and the latest effort of individuals who feel tied to the community in some sort of shape or fashion. A lot of these individuals, regardless of if they're embraced by the community or not, are now starting to use a new theory and a social experiment, a metaphorical one, in order to test, 1, your blackness, and 2, your social skills, which comes to 3, your credibility. And that new social experiment theory is the cookout. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the cookout. Critics, adversaries, and everyone in between are now starting to use this method in order to ultimately determine how credible your actions are, regardless if you faced insurmountable and dysfunctional individuals while growing up, regardless if your neighborhood was inhospitable for anyone, especially young children. And it's interesting that a lot of these individuals using the cookout social experiment are now using children as a way to argue against you leaving. I already said this before in one of my recent videos, the Classroom Disruptors, where they will use children in order to convince you not to leave the plantation, not to leave the former rotting corpse of the so-called community. We all know what that is. Shout out to Kerry Gockett Jones. And as I stated before, these individuals who will use the example of any metaphorical or actual children, at best are classroom disruptors who are trying to derail the argument, and at worst are those who are trying to shame you into staying into the community. You have individuals who are smart enough to realize that if an individual has nothing that is beholden to him, that he has its right to go wherever he's wanted. Now, the new example, the new trick that these individuals are using is the social belonging of the offspring. How will the offspring be able to, 1, socialize with quote-unquote both sides of the family, and 2, how he or she, the offspring, will be able to be aware of their culture, as a lot of people want you to believe. What have we said time and time again? Whether it's this channel, other channels within the manosphere, whether it was SYSBM, or anyone else who has stood up on the behalf of thinking men. This one statement right here recounter all that culture talk. There is no culture to go back to. And that's if there ever was a culture to begin with. I have to give it to the expert elder BGS when about 6 months ago he went into academic examples on how that community was in a way always a community, with the matriarch always being the head. And even before the advent of the welfare state, that mama always had the final say, which leads me and others to now realize that what was once considered a community may never have been a community. And looking back at that, what room is there for thinking men? Answer me, bitch! Like Kevin Smith would say. And what a lot of these individuals will do is try to test your credibility and seeing how social you are. And that if you have not been to a family reunion, or if you are not planning to go to one, or if you haven't been invited to one, you are seen as socially awkward. Which, let's be honest, that's just another way of saying an educated you-know-what. This is all that is. If anyone comes to you with that argument or question, the only thing you need to tell them and retort is, what culture? What culture is it worth preserving? What culture is worth preserving as far as Adolf's culture is concerned, especially in 2020? We don't even need to go to 2019. We can just stick to the year 2020 and already see a big example on why the culture doesn't need to be preserved. Look no further than the reactions from the Daggles and some of their simps on the death of Kobe and Gianna Bryant. That right there should tell you how much culture we need to preserve. In the best case example, you have pro-wax and pseudo-intellectuals talking about, oh, where's the money gonna go? Is it gonna go to the Mexican? Is it going to the whites? Is it going to, it ain't going to me? So, he's cool. Yeah, you cool. They cooned it up. And the worst case example, You have Daggles just outright boldly celebrating it. Talking about some, and look at the helicopter, and you got your N-word moment, and that's what you get for sleeping with a Mexican and having those mixed children. They still black though. They still black, but they mix because I'm cooking you, and you didn't chose a Daggle. You didn't chose Brandy to go out with. You pumped and dumped Brandy, didn't you? You didn't let Brandy secure the bag. You didn't let Militia secure the bag. So use cornball, educated, lame, sell out, coon, beta, beta, Uncle Tom, and you should have been a cleanup man to help the community and take out the trash and help Daggle. This example right here alone should show you that this ADOS culture, whatever culture you want to call it, is not worth preserving. You have individuals now who, at one point, or still are, admitted Afrocentrics who are pro-black in the genuine sense. They are even saying that they picked the hill that they're going to have to die on. But if I can save my offspring, then I'll do it. That if I can save my grandchildren, I'll do it. Yeah, I may have chosen the path of my peoples because of one reason or another, even though I was raised in a racially integrated part of the country compared to most of the nation when it comes to the treatment of blacks, but we won't get into that. Nonetheless, there are individuals who they themselves prefer the sisters for whatever reason, but are now, at the very least, are supporting guys who are deciding a different path on their own. And to those guys, you have nothing but my respect. There are individuals who will covertly hate the message of SYSBM, thinking black men going somewhere else, seeking another place for not acceptance, but just some solace. And they'll do it in all sorts of covert ways in which I won't get into the details of. And there are those who just outright shame you and cook you and roast you, you know, the typical Daggles and Dozers. Daggles and Dozers! Daggles and Dozers! Oh, that's going to be a future video right there. Maybe a live stream. The common theme for Daggles and Dozers, as well as most of the individuals who criticize SYSBM, is this. A lot of them either are too infested in the community, are too addicted to the community, or know in the bottom of their hearts that they can't go anywhere outside the community. And with that, I have always been of the mind and notion that the Cookout needs to be canceled. Yes, I'm saying it. We are joining cancel culture, and if we can rally behind one thing to cancel, since everybody else wants to cancel thinking black men, everybody else wants to cancel SYSBM before they bandwagon it, but that's a whole nother story another day, which we already talked about. Or they want to cancel black men getting out, black men getting their passports, black men dating outside the race, black men dating within the race but not ADOS. Everybody else wants to cancel the happiness of black men. Well, to that, the one thing you can do in order to counter all of that junk, to just tell them that the Cookout is canceled. Hashtag cancel the Cookout. How about that? We got our own little cancel culture around here. If it's one thing I want trending in this manosphere, particularly in this part of the manosphere, tell all the Dozers, tell all of the swag hags, tell all the simps, tell all of the communitists, tell all of the Daggles, tell all of their babies kids, tell all of the pro-wax, tell all the hoteps, tell all the swirlers, and tell all their saddies. Tell everyone who wants to keep us in this rotten corpse of a community to hashtag cancel the Cookout. Not to be confused with the Southern Chain Cookout, which actually has not bad burgers, by the way. My first time going there was a few months ago, and I was pleasantly surprised. But in any case, hashtag cancel the Cookout. And the Cookout is basically its own metaphor for what a lot of people want to push you, and that is this ADOS scruggle underclass. I've stated this in multiple videos before, that Negro culture of the 70s and the jiving and all this other kind of jive turkey crap created the Edo-Scruggle underclass deplorable culture you see here today. It has been a culture of ever decreasing moralities, expectations, and wealth. Why preserve it? There you go. That's all I have to say about that. Because it doesn't really matter at this point if your offspring doesn't know about the ADOS underclass scruggle culture. It doesn't matter if your child grows up to a ripe old age but never knows what it's like dealing with that drunk uncle or that sassy auntie or those in and out jail ass cousins. Doesn't really matter if your kid grows up to a ripe old age and never learns the moon slide or the electric walk or the one-tune coon step or whatever it is that the Negro cookouts have these days. Doesn't really matter. Really, you gotta ask yourself that. Because at this point, what's the point? Why? Why risk having your offspring being involved in such a culture that has shown time and time again that it's nothing good for it, especially for the boys. Maybe a little bit for the girls, but even then, the girls still end up getting caught in the crossfire. It's just delayed, honestly. In a way, capturing to the crossfire works against the girls when they become women because within the former Armed Corps of the so-called community, they don't know how to deal with adversity as girls. So that by the time they become women, they're finished. At the very least, the boys had to deal with all sorts of adversity. Granted, it's more than a fair share of what a boy is supposed to deal with. But yeah, the culture is finished. Just cancel it. Bury it to the ground. As a matter of fact, don't bury it to the ground. You'll be honoring it. If anything, put it into a museum. And treat that part of history, that Edo-Scruggle underclass part of black history, like how the ultimate Frisbee champions treat their low moment in that horrific era in Germany. Make a museum out of this horrendous Edo-Scruggle underclass culture. Not to celebrate it, not to revel over it, not to give it a homage, but to tell anyone who's outside the community that this was a low point as far as the black race is concerned. That we will and should not be defined by that underclass scruggle culture. To tell those within the race to not define themselves by that Edo-Scruggle underclass culture. And more importantly, to tell the kids. Because that's what this is all about, right? Oh, what about the kids? Kids ain't gonna know. The kids ain't gonna know how to do moonslide and the electric walk. They ain't gonna know how to do chicken feet and how to eat chitlin feet. I mean, come on, y'all. Come on, what is about the children, y'all? You know, I mean, you want to do it, you do it. I don't care. I don't care at this point. But, you know, if you got biracial children, even children who look as light as Steph Curry and Patrick Mahomes, then, you know, it doesn't matter though. They ain't biracial. That one drop rule wasn't passed by Obama, so it ain't never going to get passed. You heard me? So, at this point, I mean, you got to face facts. We's all is black. And as a result of that, you just need to teach your children a bit of lessons. Lessons about our culture and our ways and our jigs and our jives and the jive turkey. You can't forget about the jive turkey, dig? And those other cultures, they ain't got it though. They ain't got it like that. You don't want to go family reunion with some baked chicken and couscous? Who is going family reunion like that? I don't care if half the family are averaging over $500,000 a year and they talking about business. Well, what's business? We do business. That's a communitized version. We got to boom everything when it comes to our business. I mean, the business is like that baked chicken couscous.
Nah, we gotta spice it up. Well, we gotta put some seasoning on it, and we gotta hoodify it up and make business. See, that's what I mean. Now you getting it. Or even if you go to these other cultures, man, half those people will be talking in languages that you don't know at best, and at worst, they'll be calling you all sorts of racial derogatory terms. So all you're gonna do by learning those languages is just learn how much they hate you and they don't want you there. Use in your biracial, black kids. I don't care if you do stay with the Y, and I don't care if you conform to this culture. What? You're gonna have freaking mariachi bands, or what? You gonna have a bunch of wannabe BTS performers? What kind of culture is that? Any swag that they got, little swag those non-ADOS cultures got, they just got it from us. They just got it from us. So all she's doing really is just going back in the 180. Was that a 360? 360. Like Xbox 360, and now this is 360, 180. But look, the most important thing that I'm trying to tell you is this. As much as I like to go with you, as much as I like to pick up that big booty pog and make us a family with her, the truth of the matter is that I lives in the city where the pogs ain't feeling the brothers like that, and it's all racially segregated, and it's a muck and mire shithole, and it's between two cities that, even though they're full of douchebags, they have more prominence and integration than this city ever could dream of. So you dig? That's all I gotta say, man. But you do you. But just remember the culture and the chitlins and the two-step and the shuck and jive. It's going to be boring on the other side. That's all they can offer when it comes to what the community can provide. And if that's the best they can do, then cancel the cookout. That is all you need to say. And I didn't finish this point. That for any kids who go into that museum and see all that ADOS struggle underclass shame, to tell them these two words: never again. And everyone else out there, always bet on X.